welcome back to Practical Tube Amp course. We're doing the champ build. This is the second episode. We got Josh from Strange Amplification here today. We're gonna do the first episode was unboxing, and now we're gonna do kind of parts inventory and start assembling some of the hardware. So I have a couple tips to share during the process. And the first one is I like when I do builds, I like to take the layout, or really I like the schematic, but since this is a kit, I like to take the layout and I'll laminate it. And laminating it allows me to write on it with a dry erase marker. So I have a laminator. They're not very expensive. This is the laminator. I'll move my camera over, show you how it works. But these sheets. Just put the piece of paper inside, feed it through, and it just goes real slow. And on the other side, it'll come out fully laminated. And then you can take your dry erase markers and write all over it. So while that's going through, I'm going to switch over to the parts here. Now, we're talking about parts inventory. Josh was saying that this was one of like the first things that he does with the kit. Everything's already there. So there's not, the inventory shouldn't take very long with the kit because it's a kit.
As long as they put everything together right, it should be good to go.
Yep. And also with me, since I'm building it in the shop, it's really not that big of a deal if it's missing a part because I have all the parts in stock. So it's not going to set me back a week because I'm going to have to order something because I have everything, even if they did forget something. But I really doubt that they forgot anything. Sometimes you get bad value, like inappropriate value resistors due to a mistake, but I'm gonna trust that kind of everything is there. So here's my laminated. Is this screen pinned?
Is everybody seeing both those screens?
Should be.
I am not. I don't.
Okay. I thought I had them both pinned.
Yeah, right now, as long as basically my hands are pinned and Josh is pinned.
Okay.
Spotlight.
Okay, I've got your hands pinned. Let's see.
Jamie, you can't be pinning them. You have to be spotlighting them for everybody.
Oh, I see. Spotlight for everybody.
Yeah, pinning is just for you.
Pinning is just for your own screen. Spotlighting is
Okay.
There you go.
There you go.
And then also Josh.
And Josh. Okay, hang on a second. So. Okay. There we go.
All right, cool. All right, so so this is the laminate, just in case you guys didn't see, this is the laminated piece of paper. I just printed out a piece of paper and I used the laminator, the laminating sheets. You can buy these on Amazon. They're fairly inexpensive. They're very useful for a lot of different things, but they're super useful for following schematics, modifying schematics, and when you're building builds to start checking off the things that you did or want to do, because you can write on the schematic and then erase it. So, all right. So let's just go over in detail the parts. Josh, if you've got anything to say, let me know. But here's the transformers. This is most expensive part of the build, besides the cabinet and the speaker, transformers, the chassis, the tubes. We won't need the tubes till later, so I'm gonna get rid of those for now. And then here is all of the parts, including the hardware, which we're gonna start assembling the hardware today. And then here's the board. Don't think we're not gonna get to the board today. I don't think we're gonna get to the board today. So I'll put that to the side. And StuMac has all your whole inventory labeled out. But I'm not gonna go over, we're not gonna follow the book in this tutorial unless we need it for reference, because I assume that everybody can follow directions, and we're just really showing you how to build an amp and any tips and tricks along the way to make things and explain things. So that's all we got to say about the kit for now. And let's look at the layout, Josh.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna mark on here the things that we want to change about it. Because remember, we talked about the things we wanted to change last time. Just personal preference about stuff, not necessarily because whatever StuMac did was wrong. It's just preference. So one thing, start with the AC, right? We're gonna make a separate hole for the AC ground here, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just gonna put a little mark on there. Where we're gonna change the AC ground. And then also going to take the center tap for the high voltage and give that and attach that to the same ground as the heater ground. You good with that, Josh?
Yep.
Probably also,
Where is it attached now?
It-
Oh, it's together with the AC. Okay.
yeah, the high tension center tap is
That's right.
with the AC ground, which we want to separate that. We want to keep the AC ground separated. And I'm gonna drill, I'm probably gonna drill my own hole for that. No reason to keep it on the transformer, because
Yeah.
as I would if it was a vintage build, but this is a brand new build and with no vintage prominence, so there's no reason to keep it. So and then I've had a good low noise floor, keeping the high voltage center tap with the heater supply. So I'm gonna keep it like that. Is that good with you?
Sounds like a plan, Stan.
All right, and then so the AC goes up here, and it's I'd rather have the neutral. I'd rather have the neutral just tapped off and go straight into the transformer, rather than the neutral come up here and be switched. So I'm gonna have the neutral be attached straight to the AC cord, which is kind of hard to see.
Right.
Basically, the white off of the transformer go to the white of the AC cable, and then the AC goes into the fuse, and then comes out of the fuse, and then goes over here to the switch.
Is the switch on this? I can't tell. For some reason, I can't see closely on that. Is the switch? They have it switching the neutral?
Yeah, they have it switching the neutral.
That's weird.
Yeah, I agree. So I'm gonna the neutral's just gonna connect straight to the one side of the power transformer, and then the hot's gonna go to the fuse, and then from the other side of the fuse, it's gonna go into the switch, and on the other side of the switch is gonna be the transformer.
Yeah, I'm surprised they didn't. That's kind of common approach.
Yeah, I'm not
these days.
Even with reissues, I find them that's how they do it. So I don't know why.
Do they show it fusing? I can't quite tell. Do they have the fuse on the sorry, the neutral on the fuse originally?
No, the fuse is on. They're showing the fuse straight on the hot.
Oh, I see. Oh, I see. That's the center. I see. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Weird. Yeah.
Yeah, it's old school. That's how they used to do it. It's not the best way to do it anymore. So
Yeah.
we're gonna move that. We're going to change we're gonna change this RCA jack to
Yeah.
a 1/4 inch jack. That'll
And
be
depending on the hole, at least the last few I've done that on like changing like for little champs, even like 60s champs. Um, the hole is still 4/4 inch. So you should be able
yeah,
to do
yeah,
that
yeah.
without drilling the
Yeah,
hole, which is nice.
should be still be a 3/8 inch hole. So
Yeah,
um,
yeah.
and we're gonna change the grounds. Or should you know what? Maybe we should let's keep the grounds the way they are, and at the end, maybe we can switch the grounds. I'm talking about like the DC, the
What is it now? So it's all of the filtering to one side and then all the preamp end to the preamp side,
yeah, exactly.
split like that. I personally have never had a problem with it like that. I mean, this amp I'm working on now, which is similar, at least power section. I have, I guess the only splitting I do is the filter cap for um, the preamp side goes to the preamp end, but it's pretty much that's the only difference is I just split it there, but I don't even know if that's necessary, you know.
That's that's what I'm gonna do. It's probably not like you said. It's probably not necessary for a champ. Um,
Yeah,
it gets more important with the higher the gain the amps are. But it's good just to show. It's good just to show best practices. You know that
yeah,
way you don't
yeah,
have to
yeah.
redo things, relearn things as you start going up in wattage and gain
Mm-hmm.
structure and stuff like that. So
Yep.
um, I'm gonna. So yeah, I'll probably just. Let's just do it now. All right. So let's see. Preamp. So let's see. We'll just break it here.
Yeah. And
What
then
about
jumper that with your uh yeah, I guess you could just do that. Right, and then just keep the rest of the drawing the same. Yeah, that's fine.
what do you think? I think the cathode ground for the 6v6 that should probably still go to the first grounding stage, right?
I personally don't.
You
Will it
don't?
go to the first as in the where you split it or to the power end?
I'm sorry for to the power end, to the power end.
I see. I personally do. I just group that with everything on the kind of everything preampy go to the preampy side
Hmm.
and everything power like more power and straight from the wall that end.
Hmm.
Um I don't know if I have any reasoning for me doing that. I think that's just how I did it and I don't have any noise in my amps kind of thing, but I can't tell you if that actually is the reason, you know.
Well,
um
we're gonna start it off by doing this way. We're just gonna separate that first node and keep that
yeah.
with the power section. We're gonna keep everything else with the preamp, and then once we get it all together, we can experiment to see if there's any difference. I don't think we're gonna
Yeah,
see
sure.
any difference in a champ, but
Right.
it'll be a fun
Yeah.
experiment, a
Hmm.
quick, easy experiment. But that's it for the changes on the layout. I think for now, um,
Hmm.
I'm gonna start assembling and we can talk about stuff. I'm gonna let me think. Put the transformers on first. So
That's what I do. Big things out of the way
yeah,
so they don't bang around.
yeah. So we got some grommets. And
I guess before you do that, do you need to drill anything?
I think so.
Do you want to? Are you going to drill that ground for the AC ground
Oh yeah,
dedicated?
yeah, yeah. But you know what? I want to see where the transformer sits, so where the best place for the ground is.
Oh, sure, because it's tight. It's going to be tight there.
Yeah.
It might be fine on the side, on the left side of the chassis,
Oh, yeah. Let's do that. Let's
because then nothing's going to be there.
I'm gonna put yeah, I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna mark I'm gonna mark here for the AC ground, and then let me just see how much space there is with the board in there and double check something. Oops. Just trying to think about the ground for the heater.
Hmm.
Maybe I just hate running. I just hate floating those resistors up in the air.
Oh, right, because there's no center tap on this.
Yeah, there's no center tap. Actually, maybe I
Gotcha.
should double check. If there's a center tap. Probably, I don't think there is though. So with if anybody's following along, if you have a center tap for the heater supply, then you don't need the 100 ohm resistors. But if you do, then you can just let's do this. Let's see what kind of power transformer they got so we can separate everything. There's a lot of wires here, so I wonder if this isn't yeah, this is so you can hook it up to 222, I think, for
Oh,
overseas.
it's like a universal primary. Yeah.
So there's all the secondary. So your secondaries on your power transformer heaters, which is 6.3 volts. And then you got your high tension supply, your high voltage, and your center tap for that, red, yellow, and then you got your 5 volt rectifier heaters.
Heaters. Yeah.
And then let's see, we got white and black, which should be for your main line. And then these must be for your 220. But let me double check. I'm gonna double check on the schematic actually.
Yeah. What are the colors?
They're striped, black, yellow, black, white,
Oh.
black, green. But they're on the primary side, so
Oh, yeah.
so I assume that's I assume that's for, let's see, and they don't show it. So ordinarily, you would know what your transformer is because you ordered it.
Right.
But in this case, they just gave us everything and then said follow these instructions. So I'm looking through the book right now to see the first step when wiring the transformers to see what they say about those other wires. Yeah, okay. Yeah, so it tells you right there, 100 volt, black and blue stripe, 120 volt is white, 220 is black, yellow, 230 is black, green, 240 is black, red. So we're going to be using the white
And the black.
and the black. And then I'm just going to snip everything else. So, black, red, black, yellow. Snippy, snip, snip.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm going to heat shrink all that. Got a favorite heat shrink? Where do you get your heat shrink from, Josh?
Amazon. I ain't fancy. I've gotten it from Harbor Freight in the past because they have I like getting the long continuous run rather than the little already cut up pieces.
Yeah,
Just if it feels like I'm less wasteful with a long run because then I don't have like that little bit left of all of the little pieces. But Amazon. I'm not really super close to a Harbor Freight, but I'm a phone app away from Amazon.
yeah.
So, yep.
And then while it's still hot, I pinch the ends, so. It falls. Yeah, I got this. It seems every time I order heat shrink, I get it from somewhere else, but
Yeah.
this stuff has been awesome. It's 3-to-1 and I've been really impressed so far.
That's the key. I feel like the last time I got it, I just grabbed something and it wasn't. I feel like it was 2-to-1, if not less, and it doesn't shrink much at all. It's doesn't not the best, but
Yeah,
Wow.
and I don't really like all the colors. Like most of them have like I like
Yeah.
just black.
just black, man.
I'm gonna zip tie those together so they're nice and kind of away. All right. And then let's drill the chassis. So I'm just gonna I think I am going to drill right below the pilot light. Let's see. The transformer, it doesn't matter. Transformer on like this. So I can see where it's gonna line up. And then I'm gonna make a mark right there,
You're up toward the front. Man.
right there.
Gotcha.
This is gonna sit in there.
And which is this for? This is for your.
For the like heaters,
Oh, you're doing the okay. That's for the heaters, and then where are you doing the
AC
AC
gonna be here.
earth ground? Oh, you're gonna do that. I see. Gotcha.
Sound good?
I didn't see you do that. Okay. Yep.
Punch. And I just use my unibit for most things. Because the first step is
Should be for a number 6 or number 8.
yeah.
Um,
I go from the other side that kind of deepers it. Deeper. But just going in reverse usually is enough. And then I'm going to put grounds on there, which
oh, came with little
they have,
eyelets.
they have terminal strips for everything,
Oh, right.
but I think I'm just gonna use. I think I'm just gonna use my grounds, star grounds.
Yeah.
It wasn't big enough.
Josh, I love that you're wearing my boy Anthony's t-shirt.
Oh yeah. He's the man. I have two. I apparently wore this around a fire and I got some fire burn holes in it. Just makes it ever more cool, I guess. That's what I tell myself.
My t-shirts are all holy from leaning up against the workbench.
Nice.
All right, nice and tight, and then we'll start putting in the transformers. This hole's drilled. Wires that don't mean anything clipped. And we want the transformer, we want the wires for the AC to be at the front. So this is your primary side, the black and the white. So we want them to be in your front, and then your heaters and your high tension stuff all back here, because they're all going to go to the tube sockets. So that's that. Yeah, and again, we don't like putting the grounds. Tell them why we don't like putting the grounds on transformers, Josh.
The transformer is, so the biggest thing I think about is vibrations. When these amps are going, especially combo amps, everything vibrates, and anything that vibrates can loosen up. So what he's referring to about grounds on transformers is vintage amps, or a good amount of vintage amps, more in the 60s, I guess, than the 50s. They would put all of the grounds, they would reuse the bolt that holds the transformer in place as that ground for your stuff, for your, maybe your AC line, but definitely they use it for your DC, your center tap, all that kind of stuff. So as time goes on, those bolts can loosen up, and then you're not only is your transformer all wobbling around, but now you have an unsafe electronic situation with a loose ground there. So in a lot of cases, Fender started in this, I guess in the 60s, they started putting them to the transformer bolt and then soldering that transformer bolt down to the chassis, which is still super funky. And I'm sure you've had plenty of amps that you come in that solder is broken on the chassis. It just didn't, from vibrations, it just kind of loosened up and everything. So anyway, long story short, having everything, all of your grounds on their own bolts that do their own thing is kind of the best practice to do, because it just minimizes possible dangerous situations. So that's what he's doing. I do the same on, this is a similar build, it's just my amp, but it's a similar style amp. But yeah, I have a dedicated ground there. This is with an IEC, so that kind of takes away the mains ground situation a little bit. But yeah, definitely a good practice in any amp building, or for that matter, amp building, or if you get a vintage amp and you don't have a 3-prong plug, right, and you want to correctly ground it, that's kind of the practice to do, is have its own ground.
Yep.
Yep.
For the grommets, we got our first hiccup. So the ground on the transformer came loose. We'll have to fix
What
that.
am I looking? It's just like a soldered to itself.
Yeah, so it's supposed to be soldered to
Oh,
the chassis, and instead of a wire. Usually, I guess this is
yeah.
usually.
Let me show you an example. Hold on.
Go ahead.
That's weird that they would do that.
Yeah, that's mad old school.
Yeah, like yeah. So this is a similar size transformer. You have your and for a single ended amp like this. So you have your primary goes to your power tubes, and then your secondary. In this case, I have two secondary taps, so 8 and 16. But you have a black wire that's your ground. That's weird that they would just have a little jumper and it just goes to itself and also poorly soldered there.
Yeah, you know what?
Obviously.
You know, would be a well. What do you think we should do? Should we solder it back to the chassis? Or should we make our own wire there? I think let's make our own wire.
I kind of wanted to, I mean, it's kind of sketchy either way because I also don't, I'm sure to heat up that, you have to hit it with a big iron to get that soldered back on there. And I don't really want to, the idea of cooking that a little bit with near your windings is not really great. I guess extend it, especially because it's not like we're extending it maybe 2 inches. You know, it's not going to go far from there. But what is the wire? The wiring diagram doesn't show it like that, right?
Yeah, it does.
Oh, it does. Oh,
You mean like this, the layout?
yeah. Like, does it show that ground? Oh, I see. Yeah, that ground doesn't come through that ground.
Doesn't come
Yeah.
through, yeah.
Hmm.
All right. Let's do it.
Are we supplying StuMac with notes on this?
I'm not. I would if they asked, but I'm not.
Not that they made the transformer. That's the thing too. It's not that StuMac isn't. You know, they didn't make the transformer. Whoever, what are those? Hammond or Hayboer or not even?
No, I think they're Hammonds. I think they're from Mojo. It's from Mojo Town. Everything.
Oh,
Everything
yeah.
from Mojo Town. I don't know where they get their stuff from.
right.
I'm going to tin this.
Got that mojo.
This is just a little liquid flux. Oh, my solder irons. Do you use liquid flux?
I don't.
I know it seems like
I don't know why. I mean, I just use flux core solder, but I don't. I don't know. Is that wrong?
no.
I don't know.
I use it. The main thing that I use it for is when I'm pinning
Sure.
wires.
Yeah, yeah.
Other than that, I don't really use it. But it
I just
seems
use.
to help.
Yeah, I just kind of learned of just hitting the soldering iron with just a little bit of solder, which also has flux in it. So then it's kind of like the same. And with a little bit of solder just to get going, then you're kind of good. But that's just how I learned.
Yeah, it's just when I'm tinning wires, it just flows so much better when I use liquid flux.
Yeah.
If your iron's hot enough, then you don't have to worry about it. But
Like it hot.
bend. You ever see the NASA book on how to solder and stuff?
No.
Oh, I'll have to find it and send it to you. It has like all these situations where you get in. Where if you have to like splice wires, how much solder
Oh.
to use, it has all these. Don't do it this way, do it this way, and it's
Yeah.
pretty awesome. It's
So it can.
well, then people think that we need to do that on guitar.
Yeah.
We're not sending our amps in outer space. So.
I mean, how do you know? Someone might. You got to prepare for that.
So I wrapped that wire all the way up. Snip off the excess. We'll put a couple different sizes of shrink wrap on it. Hold it tight. Shrink wrap, what am I saying? Shrink tubing. So. I learned this trick in NOM too. When you
Oh, wow.
if you have a small piece of shrink that fits over the wire, or maybe you're just trying to get it over like one big clump. So we're gonna try to
Mhm.
get it over that one big clump there.
Right.
I'm gonna take my pliers and I'll spread the shrink a little bit wider.
Mm.
Makes the shrink a little wider. So let's slide down over that hump. Put that with shrink. And I'll put a thicker piece of shrink over top of that. A thicker piece of shrink. Right over top. All right. That's that. Again,
Nice.
sucks to have to add a wire on a brand new thing, but
Yeah.
it's probably the other way's perfectly fine. It's just like preference.
Yeah. Well, here's my beef on that. It is fine except for the ground was not connected.
Yeah.
Like if it was connected and soldered there, then it would have been fine. But that's a little getting an amp and especially if this is designed for beginners and having something that should have been factory soldered and it's not is a little. I'd have that checked out. But
Yeah, maybe I'll send them a note because then they can get with Mojo Tone or whoever makes the transformers to change it.
yeah, turn that soldering iron up a little bit when you do the ground on the
Or
transformer.
just add a wire.
I just have a wire. Yeah. Yep.
Put those grommets on the chassis and then slide the wires up through. There's so much work in organizing parts for builds that I'm just doing all the organization for all of the parts and things for a couple of my builds, and oh my gosh, it's just like hours at a computer.
Yep.
It's nice just pulling stuff out of the box here.
Yeah.
But hopefully when everything's organized, the next time I build the same amp, it'll be like press and go. Now, how many amps do you like? What's your bulk order situation when you're building your personal amps?
Uh, it depends on the parts. Because some stuff I don't have a huge shop and I don't like swimming in a lot of stuff, even though I know I'll use it, but I don't know. I I just so like resistors, capacitors, those kind of things, I don't super bulk buy. Like I guess I kind of do within reason. But then stuff like all my transformers from Sour Sound for sure is just cheaper to buy them like 10 at a time, or it just makes more sense. I feel like for me it's less so the cost and more so what takes longest to get. So
Oh yeah,
handmade transformers and face plates, for instance, are the ones that I get more than I need because they take a while. And I just like so when I want to actually build and get going, I don't have to wait on, oh, I got everything except I don't have transformers, that kind of thing.
yeah. You gotta wait a couple months
Um,
for Transformers.
yeah. Chassis could be one of those things, but I drill all mine own from like stock, blank chassis, so I don't really have to do that. Cabs are the other thing that I need to get in more than I usually am selling in a run. So, because that takes longer than I want it to, uh, and just having them on hand, that kind of tells me how many available builds I can tell people that I have. It's by how many transformers and how many cab stuff I have, because those are the longest kind of wait stuff. So, yeah, I saw that you bought a big bulk order the other day.
Oh, that was just a normal. It's just a normal
Yeah.
order from Mojo or CE distribution. Yeah.
Is that just general for repair stuff, just general values of stuff, or
Yup. That was all
tubes?
like
Probably mostly. Yeah.
some tubes and some resistors. The bulk order, though, most of that bulk order is like savings. It was like what was it, $500 some in bulk? Like because
That's a good amount. Yeah.
that was all resistors. Because
Oh.
if you buy 100 resistors at 100 of each value, the it goes down to like from what is it like $1.50 a pack to like 50 cents a pack or something.
Oh wow.
I, yeah, that's we could spend weeks talking about ordering correct
Oh
supplies.
my god. And lately, I don't know about you, but CE has messed up a couple of my orders and not sent stuff or sent the wrong stuff. Like I think I just ordered two, 5 count things of 220K resistors, and they sent me two single resistors. In that, but they don't even sell single resistors of that. They sell them in 5.
Well,
So that was weird.
the worst part about that, is um you have to check your order, which
Right.
like when you're buying literally 1,000 parts, like literally
Right.
1,000 parts,
Yeah.
you got to go through all of them to make sure that they're the right ones, and they're
Yeah.
not. I just wish I wish they would send me an invoice like in the package. Like I got to go find my own invoice.
It's on, yeah. I don't know what they do for you with big orders like that, but yeah, they only include it on the label on the outside of it,
Yeah,
which is like on the outside of the box.
yeah,
So
and then they don't tell
yeah, I don't
doesn't
know.
have what it costs.
Yeah.
It only has the amount, which is like I like to double check all my parts prices when it comes in. So then it's like you got
Yeah.
I don't
Is what I just feel like lately I've had a run. I also had a run of misdone orders from Mojo Tone. It's kind of funny, but not. Uh I ordered 2 things of Tolex and 1 thing of grill cloth. And instead of black Fender grill cloth, they sent black Fender uh Tolex. So I take it out. I'm like, that's not gonna work. And then they sent just like 1 yard of something that I bought 3 of. I don't know. It's nothing crazy, but I usually don't open up things right when I get it. I wait till I need it and like
Yeah.
am getting it then. So it's just I
That's-
just feel like it's been a rash of that from a handful of vendors lately. post-holiday slump from everybody. I don't know. So where are you at now? Are you soldering connections now, or
No, I'm just
I
connecting
can't tell what you're doing?
I'm connecting the sockets.
Oh, I see.
And then once I do the sockets, I think I'm gonna start wiring up some of these wires so they get them out of the way.
Yep.
So my heater wires.
Oh, one thing I guess we're not quite there yet, but I can start talking about it. You're talking about your artificial center tap, so your 200 ohm resistors.
Mhm.
Do you ever, I like to mount them if possible, like you can on this, on the power tube socket with the center of the artificial center tap going to your bias. So it does two things. It's a good solid place to put it, and B, it raises your gives you a higher reference point for your heater, which is kind of heater noise is important in a single-ended amp because there's a lot more chances of it making to your output because you don't have the out of phase cancellation of a push-pull power amp. For anybody who knows what I'm talking about.
Say that again, Judge.
So I do. Let me show you. So when you do your artificial center tap, I like to put them on the power tube socket
Okay.
off of your heaters there, with the center of that going to your ground, what would be a ground, but is your bias, your cathode bias.
Yeah, you connect the ground goes the same. The ground the center tap goes to the same ground as the ground for your.
Not the same ground on the other end of your bias. Let me show you a graphical representation.
Oh, you mean on pin 8.
Yeah, right.
I don't know
Let me
anything
pull
about
up.
that.
It's
Why?
definitely a good thing to do in a single-ended amp. I'm just showing.
But not so good in a push pull.
It doesn't really matter in a push pull. I
Okay.
ignore the weird signature there. I don't know why they got stuck there, but see, I have my 100 center tap going to pin 8, so your cathode bias. So then it's doing two things. It's a good place physically to put those resistors.
Mhm.
That's not just dangling off of your lamp, your pilot light assembly.
Yeah.
And it's raising that whatever, 18, it's giving you about 18 volts difference between your ground. It's raising up that ground a little bit
Yeah.
with that. So
Okay.
it should lower noise. So that's what I do.
All right.
So I don't know if you're not quite there yet, but you're getting there now that you're attaching wires and everything.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I've never heard that. But it makes sense. So maybe we'll do it, or maybe we can do it both ways to see if it makes a difference.
Yeah, I wonder how you could easily do without it being a whole thing to change it.
Yeah, it'll be a
Guess
whole,
you could, yeah.
but that's okay.
Other than like snipping it out and trying to do it another way, but
Yeah.
that's just like honestly the biggest reason I like putting it there. Most of my amps have a center tap, so I don't need that. This particular amp, the transformer just comes without a center tap, and I didn't bother like having it changed. And having a place for those resistors that just isn't weird,
Mhm.
is kind of the main driving force of that. Less so of noise, but it's kind of has an added benefit of the noise, keeping your noise floor down.
Right.
So.
All right, so we're getting close to 1 o'clock here. We're gonna call it a wraps for today. I'm just gonna leave you with this. I am twisting all my wires, so twisting the heater wires that reduces noise. These yellow wires are the heater wires for the rectifier tube, and I'm gonna twist the high voltage wires. That's mostly just to make it neat. these two go to the rectifier socket. This is going to go to our ground, which is up here. And then I'm gonna, instead of using this RCA jack, instead of using this RCA jack, which takes this special connector, right? We're going to use a regular 1/4-inch jack. We're going to use a regular 1/4-inch jack. And luckily, like you said, Josh, it fits in the existing hole. So
No drilling required.
really need it. You put a lock washer on that. Lock washer on that. And there you go. So I'm going to tape that up. I'm going to do a couple things off camera, but not too much because I don't want to lose anything. I'm going to keep twisting these wires. I'm going to make a couple solder connections, but not too many because I want to do that all on camera for the next time. I'm just gonna get all these wires kind of organized and out of the way so it looks like a little bit neater and clearer of a picture. I'm also gonna install, probably gonna install some of these parts too. Stuff that's kind of just like watching paint dry. And then we'll continue with wiring, and discussing why we are doing what we are doing on the next episode. If James is still awake, can you switch back to off of the bench and back onto my face?
I will do it.
Oh, he's still awake.
I'm here,
I thought for sure he would not be.
riveted. Hang on a sec. Let me find you. Spotlight. Okay, you want to be solo?
Nope, me and Josh, that's good.
Okay. All right.
So that's about an hour. We're going to try to keep it to an hour in these episodes. If anybody has any specific questions, ask me now. I think Josh's got to hop off of here, but feel free to ask me any
Little bit.
questions.
I got like 5 minutes. I can hang out for a little bit.
Cool. So if anybody's got any questions, feel free to ask. And while we're doing things, if anybody wants to raise questions, it's a good time to raise the questions, even if you're gonna like interrupt us. If we need to stay on track, we will. But for the most part, we're kind of looking for things to explain. And I know a lot of people are probably going to watch this after the fact too. So if you're watching this and you're going to ask some questions and watch future videos, just DM me or message us on Patreon and we will get the answers to you. These little builds are fun. The champs don't take much time, and once you do a couple, and once you have some of this foundational knowledge and understanding, like the things that we talked about, why we were changing the things that we were changing, wiring that stuff is like second nature. You just know where everything goes. And I definitely remember, I'm sure you remember, Josh, when you were first learning this stuff, you were literally just follow like Lego instructions. Black wire goes to this terminal, white wire goes to this terminal. But if you stick around and listen to us and watch the schematics and watch some of the previous episodes, you'll understand why these things go the way they go. And then it's like you can't mess up because it's like you can only put a key in a door one way. It's just like there's only one place to do it. So it's not to say sometimes I don't put my key in the door upside down, but I realize it pretty quickly that it doesn't go in.
Yeah, but I think the daunting thing for a lot of people getting into amp building, somewhat pedal building, but I feel like more so amp building, is the desire to want to learn what you're doing before you're kind of doing it, and that can be a daunting hurdle because understanding the ins and outs of how an amp works electronically is a hard thing to dive into. But with something like a kit, it's a great way to follow the instructions, kind of get the physical aspect of getting it, having good wiring and soldering skills. Then from there, learn what the hell is happening. And I think that's a perfectly fine thing to do, and a great way to get into it. That's opens up a lot more doors than having to go to electronic school to figure out what it's doing.
Yeah,
Um, so
100%.
I'm yeah.
Yeah, the modifying what I've found actually recently, because most of everything I do is based in repair, and now I'm starting to get in. I'm starting to get more into the build world and modifications, which I've kind of always stayed away from modifications, but I've learned more about amps building and modifying and writing schematics than I have ever just like repairing things. So
Totally.
my knowledge base has grown this year exponentially because of building. And when we're finished this building it stock, we're going to add some mods to it, like adding a tone knob. And like if you had any suggestions to do stuff, and that'll be a great exercise in what things do rather than just
Mhm.
talking about them, because we can talk about them all. They'll go in one ear and one out the other. But
Yep.
when you actually see it and experience it, it's you're like, that makes sense.
Hmm.
So
Totally.
you get in a house, buying a house?
No,
Ah,
no.
go through.
It was our offer was not that great in the first place, and they got like a cash offer.
Sucks.
Oh, well, it's funny when you're looking at a new house and more so oogling at the nice garage than the house itself.
Yeah, that's what this house was. But
Ugh.
I didn't even want to go look at this house, and my wife was like, "Let's just go look at it." And I was like, "I didn't know it had a big garage."
I'd
Uh,
kill for a garage right now.
yeah.
Josh,
Oh
where are
well,
you at again?
I'm in Phoenixville, so like 45 minutes northwest from Philly without traffic, or an hour and a half to 2 hours with traffic.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's like right near Valley Forge, King of Prussia, the giant mall, kind of that area. So,
By the great Billy Guitar Show.
oh yeah, yeah. The quote unquote Philadelphia Vintage Guitar Show is actually in Oaks, which is like 5 minutes from me. So, but it's close enough to Philly that they call it Philly.
All right. Well, next time we'll keep on going, and we're just gonna keep wiring, keep putting the hardware on, keep wiring it, and we'll see where we get next time.
Yeah.
Hopefully we'll have all of the hardware installed at the end of the next episode, and all of the internal stuff in the chassis that we can wire, that we can wire without the board, and then I'll start assembling the board. And yeah, if we could think of any topics that you want to talk about, like even if you want to talk
Yeah.
about like mods as I'm going on, I'll just be quiet and solder stuff up, and then you can talk about, I don't know, divulge some of your secrets.
Yeah, and maybe on the in the meantime, hold on, I'm getting a call. I'm trying to get away from it. If in the meantime, if anybody has any questions that they want to shoot to ask that we can go over the next time while we're building it, that would be something cool to do too. Give us something to talk about other than weirdly specific things that only you and I know what we're doing.
Yeah.
Right.
All
Hey
right.
guys,
All right.
both Josh and Luke, thank you so much. Can everybody
Yeah, guys.
unmute and tell them
Thanks,
thank
guys.
you?
Great.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thanks for hanging out with us.
That was
for
great.
sure.
Thank you.
Definitely.
Thanks, guys. See you guys
Man,
next time.
man, those electrons aren't going to know when it hit them.
Nice.
All right. Cool. Thanks, Josh. Appreciate you taking the time.
Yeah, no problem, man. All right, take care.
All right. See you.
Thanks.
Oh,
Did you catch any of that, Ian?
shit, no.
It was a pretty boring one.
It's not that it's boring, it's just that, like, I don't know what it is. I cannot, like, even from the very beginning, it's just like, huh? I might be dumb.